Hi, this is Cindy
And Michael.
from Part-Time Permies, and today we are doing an apple tasting. Our first tasting of our apple trees that have been here since we moved in.
Yep, so we've been lightly working with them for almost 4 seasons. Well, first season just left them, and they've been in bad shape as we've talked about in the spring, so we've been lightly pruning and manipulating them and bagging, and so this is the first year we have anything that's even edible.
As you can see here, we have bags on the edible apples, and we're going to try them and see if they're ready to eat and see what kinds they are. We have 3 trees that have bags on them, not on all the apples, but we put the bags on to prevent things like that. Plum curculio attacks the apples. You have a couple up here we might be able to save for like vinegar or something. We have bags on this tree as well, and a couple bags on this tree back here, at least on one lower branch. We think we know what 2 of these trees are, but this one we have not tried at all yet. But we should do a taste test because it was too early on the other trees when we tried them before.
So the other thing we want to talk about is what you can do with fruit, or apples specifically, because eating apples are great. That's sort of your premium number 1A apple, and for us to eat them, they don't even need to be unblemished. They can have a little bit of scarring or discoloration. They're still good eating apples. So that's target for a lot of people, but you got to remember you can also bake and cook with them, so they can be less perfect. You can chop them up and puree them and make applesauce, fruit sauces, so they can be even less perfect. Maybe have a few bad spots, a little overripe, underripe, because you're adding sugar. And then the next opportunity is making fruit juices, juicing them, so crushing and pressing, which we don't have a press. So now you can make apple cider, you can ferment it and make hard apple cider, and you can let it go sour, basically, and make it into vinegar. So 3 juice products. Those you can use pretty rough apples or any fruit, ground fall, heavily damaged, not crazy rotten, but you can handle quite a bit of rot. You can handle more bugs in it and other stuff, especially when you're going to ferment it or cook it into apple juice or make vinegar. Not everything works, but you got a lot of opportunities, so you can assess your fruit and it's not a waste, it's just limited. So red apple, we'll take this one.
Sure.
So this apple looks pretty good. We got a little bit of scarring, we got a little bit of discoloration, we've had very high humidity, got maybe one little peck from something, but to me this is not a farmer's market sellable, but I think it's an edible for personal eating. So this came out of our bag.
Is it ripe yet?
Close. Might hang on there a little longer.
Okay.
So this apple is lightly tart. It is a little tannic and a little mealy and juicy, but not real juicy. And I feel like I know exactly what this apple is.
I didn't.
I don't know if you want to try it.
I will try it, but I have a feeling from his description I know what it is too, which I'm disappointed. We didn't know what type of trees these were.
So, what do you think it is?
Red Delicious, but it tastes better than most Red Delicious I've had.
I would say it is almost certainly a Red Delicious or something very similar. I know Red Delicious are super popular because they look nice and they store okay. We both highly dislike them. They don't cook well. I find them mealy. I find them a little bitter. I find them not very flavorful. While I'll eat one, it is not something I would choose. But when they are really fresh and in good conditions, they actually taste a lot better than when they're getting really old and too much
The grocery
storage.
store ones are horrible to me. I cannot stand grocery store Red Delicious.
I find Red Delicious are not very good for baking. I think people can comment and tell us what you do with them or like about them or don't like. It's pretty wide open. But I think they're a little more limited in quality for juicing and all that. So What we think from our earlier tasting, not knowing these trees, we now have 3 that are bearing moderately after some light pruning, heavy pruning, adjusting. We've one here that seemed very shaded and has done very poorly. We don't have any fruit on this to tell. Pretty sure this is commercial rootstock that came out of, we have a lot of local tree sellers, and of course all the big box stores and local nurseries and things. So and knowing this property wasn't heavily handled by an agricultural specialist, not surprised, pretty sure this is general old rootstock. And so we're still determining if we can continue to salvage and improve these, or if they're in bad condition or bad position, and we're going to eliminate some or all of them and repurpose this area, or just leave these trees to kind of do what they do. It
might be worth, on one hand, it might be worth just using them as like a cider or cider vinegar trees in a way. Not so much eating apple trees. If we're putting in more fruit trees in our food forest in front, which we're slowly going to do, then we'll have those. We may just keep these just for other purposes.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the next tree. So that's our bag for the apples. You want to take that out?
Right.
So we've tasted this one a couple weeks ago, a little early. Might still be a little early on it.
So, same kind of condition. I don't see any.
That looks pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I don't see any bugs. We got a little blistering, but nothing. I mean, it's pretty good for a purely organic, completely no spray.
Beyond organic.
This is pretty good. So.
Still think it's Red Delicious?
Tastes pretty much the same as that one. So I think these 2 reds are Red Delicious. So there were at least 5 trees here. One is complete, 6 trees here.
There were 6 originally.
There were at least 6 when we got here. That one up there was cut before you got here, I think, or did you cut that?
No, that was cut before I got here.
The one back here was cut, I think, before you got here.
No, I got...
Or we cut that one, I can't remember.
No, what? That one was cut before. I cut this one.
This one, there's just not much left, and it's getting worse. We were hoping to recover it, but I think it's may get cut out this year. It's also really blocked by the sun, so that one may be done. Hoping to keep some stumps and get some morels growing on.
That would be nice. Get some morels out of these.
We may just kind of, if we take some of this down, we may kind of leave it here a little bit chopped up, or leave big stumps.
I actually think the other one's more tart than this one.
Possibly a little bit. It's tasting pretty.
Very similar.
Very similar. We're gonna get some peanuts. We're gonna push them late season.
So these.
So they probably start dying out, I'm guessing.
Right in here, these are all peanuts around these trees and around there.
They should bear around a half of the yield of an ideal southern climate, but still plenty. We were told plant 20 to 30 peanuts on here is what could be expected from Shirk in Indiana, who gave us some of them. Whereas you might get 60 or 80, I guess, in the south with a longer, hotter season. But that's for what he does and what we do. That's plenty good for something you just leave in the ground and let it do its thing. It's plenty of yield.
Yep, we do have a green apple above your head here.
Pull this one. Oh, we got a couple. Yeah. So let's compare.
Oh yeah.
This one got a lot of sun. It's good size. All right. So this one's definitely had some bug activity.
That looks like plum curculio damage to me, from what I've seen of it.
Plus we got this spotting, which I'm not sure if this is mold or what this is exactly.
Some in the bags had some of the spotting.
Yeah, too. That I think is. Yeah. So this is still great for, I think, cider, for vinegar, and cutting it open, looking at it, or tasting it may still be great for saucing, cooked preparations.
At least half of it.
Well, even vinegar you use it all, cider you use it all. I think for sauce you selectively can trim out some areas and decide something looks too beat up or buggy that you're not comfortable eating it. But in reality, as long as it's not rotting and really ruining the flavor, you can still use the whole thing. Sauce, you're going to mill it, cook it all the way down with the cores usually, or sometimes you remove the cores depending on if you're doing a chunky style or a milled style. So,
Or chicken feed. Oh, don't hit the chickens with it.
yeah, we're throwing a few to the chickens. They're pretty good with it. All right. Well, this one's a failure.
Oh, no. Got a bruise.
Something's in there. It's got a bunch of, some of the stuff we got on too late. That's definitely the plum cuculio, the little C-shaped indentation.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a bagged failure.
That one just fell off, didn't it?
Yeah, that was, we got some real heavy wind and storms in the last week. Things got blown around a little bit.
Yeah. How's that one look? That one's pretty.
These are looking worse than they did a couple weeks ago, but again, we went through some really high heat and humidity for about a week, and this is a hard damage, and that's created a hard spot, but I'm gonna check this side.
Okay.
Well, this one's close already, but might go a little longer. This is tart and green, and I'm gonna say it's a granny.
Yeah.
Which is a good cooking apple for sure, and we like tart apples, so it's a decent eating apple, but I again would hesitate from pies and think I would be going into the cooked direction of juicing and saucing on these. So better than where we didn't even have anything we could questionably use last year. We've now got things that have at least made the bottom bar of usability.
I think some of these were later in being bagged than the others.
They were too.
So our grannies did not do as well.
Yeah, and 2 weeks ago when we first checked them, they looked a lot better than this. They were looking similar condition to the red ones.
We've had a lot of rain, so I'm wondering if some of them
crazy rain, crazy humidity, so viruses, molds, bacteria, along with general pests are probably where people would be heavily spraying. Yeah, these guys are
not so good.
These guys are rough. So on our list has been getting pressing equipment. Well, you also, for apples, it's not just like grapes where you can press it or soft fruit. You have to chunk it up and have a shredder. So I was looking at equipment. It's not that expensive, but you're in $300 or so for a. The problem is on that stuff, if you get too cheap, the cheapest thing on the market, it's going to rust or break or just not do enough capacity. And then we don't need anything crazy that would be very expensive, but even a step or two up. There's a lot of catalogs that have them, but we're probably $300 to $500.
Okay, so we have 3 trees, 2 varieties, very commercial varieties, not the most exciting. The bags I think definitely did work if you're comparing apples. It's just we got them on late on some of our apples. Like literally it was a 1 week difference and they were already infected for some of them. So we knew that. We were testing to see how well they developed.
Salvageable.
Yeah.
So I don't think we've changed our opinion much on what we're doing here. Our new, so for new things, we probably haven't changed opinion either for moving things to the front and buying root stock. Continuing to think about dwarf and miniaturized trees, which are more easy to handle and faster yielding.
And then easier to harvest.
Harvest, exactly, which is what most people do. Yeah. We don't need full size. Of course, we're going to look towards extremely disease resistant and hardy for permaculture forests, which there's good list and good availability of items around here.
Yep.
That's going to improve our quality and ability to get fruit using this method. Why take stuff that's highly disease prone and needs a lot of management when we know we're never going to be managing it in a way that will
even
be
if
successful.
It's smaller fruit, it doesn't matter. If it's decently tasty, it doesn't have to be the perfect big red apple that you see in the grocery store. As long as you go for flavor over appearance, I think we're good. Or hardy species.
Our idea is we would like the seasonal, starting all the way at the beginning, which is basically cherries, and moving through a couple varieties of cherries, moving into our brambles, and moving into our plums and stone fruits with the peaches and apricots, and I haven't had any good apricots yet, but we've had really good peaches this year, good nectarine. So we could. It only takes 1 or 2 of each tree, and we're so loaded with fruit for our ability to eat and process. 3 cherry trees and 2 peach trees and a couple apricots and a couple plum and a couple this and that, and then
we do have 3 plum saplings right now. 3 plum. They are beach plums, so they are not usually eating plums.
Yep.
They're made for jams and things. Yep. But they're supposed to be extremely hardy, and hardy to the plum curculio, which these apples are not.
Yeah.
They are supposed to have a thicker skin, which the plum curculio can hardly get into, which would be nice.
And that's what I think some of the cidering apples, they're not real beautiful, but some have really tough skins. I could see that our pick on apples could easily be 6 or 8 apples, whereas everything else we're in a 2 to 4 range. And by the time you get done with that, we're gonna
get a whole full orchard.
You're gonna end up with 30 or 40 trees.
I think our bagging method, I would say, is successful. We just need to do it earlier. Some of the apples are looking a lot better than others. Our tasting, not the most exciting, but usable.
Yep.
And we've tasted our very first apples from our property. We have not had any prior to that, so I'd call that a success.
Yeah.
In the end.
Yeah. We spent a few hours bagging.
Yeah.
So our total management on this project is probably 10 hours.
Total, yep.
10, 12 hours. Picking's another hour or two. We're well under 20 hours. So I guess that meets permaculture time yield ratios to make it worthwhile.
Yep.
And it's cost us nothing at this point other than the bag.
And I will link those bags. I got them on Amazon. You could get them 100 at a clip easily.
Yep.
So,
we did not pay for the trees.
Nope.
Other than it came with the property. And we put in peanuts
for the property.
and sunchokes and a variety of other things here, which we think will continue a small intermixed guild permaculture. And while we may get yield from the peanuts and the sunchokes, we're not picking the sunchokes this year. They're late starters. They'll be voracious next year. And I love eating sunchokes in a variety of ways. So we'll wait and look forward to that. So this area, regardless of what the apples are doing, are already producing secondary yield and variety opportunities. So that increases their value.
So thanks for watching. We'll keep updating you on our food forest that'll be coming. But for now, we'll see you with our next video. Take care.
Bye.